Okay, good afternoon. My name is Denise Williams. I'm going to be the presenter, the panelist, the leading panelist this afternoon for this webinar on succeeding in business class, some helpful hints about exceeding in business statistics class at Grantham. The first topic in this series of webinars is using technology in business statistics, an Excel data analysis tutorial. So what we're going to do today is talk a little bit about how to use Excel and the functions, formulas, and add-ins that are found in Excel to help you to go through the methodical calculations that are necessary to succeed in the business class. First, before we talk a little bit more about that, let me introduce myself. My name again is Denise Williams, and I am currently a tutor with the Student Learning Center, in particular with the Math Center. I've taught mathematics for more than 10 years. My specialty is statistics. I've been a statistics teacher at the college level for about 10 years. I have noticed, along with some of the instructors at Grantham, that many students are having problems doing the calculations that are necessary for the math, for the statistics class. They're getting a little bit bogged down and are getting so bogged down that they're not able to focus on the analysis, which is just as, if not even more important than the calculation. And so this webinar is an attempt to address those problems. We have noticed what the frustrated uh, former students and current students have said. We've taken note of what they've said, and so we've created this webinar series. We hope that this can help many students to succeed in their statistics class. Now, if there are any questions at all, you can contact the Math Center directly, and there will be a link uh, somewhere posted on the page that has this video. And if you have any statistics related questions, you can see me directly, but you should go through the Math Center. Okay, now an outline of what we're going to talk about in this webinar again is that we're going to talk about how to use Excel to solve some math problems, but we're going to focus on two methods: functions and formulas and data analysis. So formulas and functions are things that are built into the Excel um, software. They are little shortcuts to help you find things like average, median, mean. Also help you to find things like correlation coefficient, and so on. This is very, very useful if you're going to do something that does not require a lot of intensive work, a lot of intensive calculation. Maybe you just want to find one, two, three, four um, values. Then you would use this formulas and functions. But there's another thing called the Analysis Toolpak, which is actually an Excel add-in that is designed to perform more intensive analysis, and it requires less effort on the part of the user, even less effort than the formulas and functions. So, oh, and one more thing, another thing, if you are a Mac user like myself, there is something called Stat Plus. It has the same functionality as Data Analysis Toolpak. It's free. It's a free download, and it's from the website that's listed there. If you are running a Mac, even if unless you're running something like Parallels or Boot Camp and you have Windows installed, unless you're doing that, you cannot use the analysis toolpath. So if you don't want to install Parallels or run Boot Camp and you're running a Mac, you can do the same thing using a program called StatPlus. If you have any questions about that, you can contact the Math Center and we can walk you through the process of installing it. All right, let's get going. Now, first we're going to start talking about, like we said, the Excel formulas and functions. So let's give some examples of Excel formulas and functions. Now, today's seminar, we're not going to talk about how to find or define what is central tendency and dispersion, but um, we're going to talk about the Excel shortcuts to find these things. Now, there are some examples of central tendency formulas that are in Excel. One of them is just typing in average into Excel. It will give you the average of a set of data. Median will help you find the median of a set of data. Now, if you want to measure the dispersion of a data set, you can put in many different formulas depending on if you're finding dispersion about a population or a sample. But in general, if you're trying to find the dispersion, you would type in VAR period S. If you're trying to find the standard deviation, you would type STDEV period S. And then this would give you the corresponding information whether you're trying to find the variance or the standard deviation. Now, there's a caveat that I'd like to note is that if you are running different versions of Microsoft Excel, in preparing for this seminar, I've seen individuals running Excel 2007, Excel 2010, Excel 2013. Now, the formulas are going to be a little different for each version of Excel, but we're going to talk a little bit about how to make sure that you're running the correct formula. Now, let's look at an example to show us how to do this. Okay, so this is an example that's taken from your book. It's in section chapter 2, problem 12 on page 50 of your book. This is chapter 2, problem 12 on page 50 of your book. Now it says here that the data that's listed above is for 14 different major US airlines in June 2009. This is the prices that were charged for taking a pet aboard a flight. Now, with all of these numbers, what are you asked to do? You're asked to find the sample mean and median of the cost of flying your pet with you. And you're asked to find the range, the sample variance, and the sample standard deviation of the cost for flying your pet with you. Now, what could you do to solve this? You can take 69 plus 100 plus 100, add up all of these numbers, and then divide by 14. You can do that in a calculator by hand if you're really that smart, or you can use an Excel function. Now, we're going to show you how to do that. Okay. Now, here again is the data that we have transcribed onto our Excel spreadsheet. So this is information that I put in by hand. All of the data that you see here, all of the values, all of the words that you see here are words that I've put in by hand. So the cost, and then we list the 14 different values of cost in the cell below. And then just for ease of view, I put in the mean, median, range, standard deviation and variance, population, and sample. So we're going to have two different values for some of these, depending on if we're running the population or if we're running for the sample, if we're looking for the population or for the sample. Now, formulas. In Excel, we can find the mean, the median, the standard deviation and variance directly by putting in some formulas. So I'm going to hit here. I'm running Excel 2013, by the way, Excel 2013. Now I'm going to tap here where it says insert function. And I'm going to go to where it says select a category. Now, there are many, many different functions listed here in this Excel box. And if you don't know what version or what formulas to use, you can go directly to statistical. Here it says statistical. I'm going to select this category. And now under statistical, there are only formulas that you use for statistics. All these formulas that you use for statistics. Now, I want to find the mean. I want to find the mean. So I'm going to look for the formula that finds the average. Now this first formula equals average. It tells me the average or arithmetic mean of the argument. This is the formula I want. I'm going to press OK. Now the formula is asking me if I want to run A2 through C2, and that's not what I want. A2 represents this value right here. It's the A column and the 2 row. That's what I want for my first number. But for all the rest of the numbers, I don't want it to run horizontally. I want it to run vertically. So I'm going to click and drag. And this tells me that I'm going to take the average of all the values from A2, the A column second row, through A15, the A column 15th row. I press OK, and it gives me my answer, 102.07142286. This is my average. Now I can do the same thing for the median. I can go back to the function box. I can look up, I'm going to try to show you a different way. In the top of the box where it says type a brief description of what you want to do and then click go, I'm going to type in median and click go. And it gives me this formula, this function, median. So I press OK, median. Now again, I want the median of A2 through A15, the same values. I press OK, and the median is 100. I'm going to skip range for a minute, and I'm going to go to standard deviation and variance. Now notice that we're talking about standard deviation for the population. Standard deviation for the population. Now how do we find that? Again, I go to the function box, and I'm going to type in standard deviation. Now there are many formulas for standard deviation here. I have standard deviation A, P, this without anything after it, period S, period P, and PA. Now, what do all of them mean? I can look here. In the description. Now we're going to focus on the ones that have a dot S and a dot P at them, at the end of them, a dot S and a dot P at the end of them. The dot S means sample. The dot P means population. Now, because I'm looking initially for the population, I'm going to press OK, dot P. I'm selecting that one. Remember that you're selecting A2 through A15. Press OK. Now, what if I was doing it for the sample? What if I was doing it for the sample? I could go to standard deviation again. And this time I'm doing period S dot S because this is for a sample. I press OK, highlight my numbers. Okay. Now notice that the answers are very different. The first number is 23.15 and the second number is 24.02. The numbers are very different because the formulas are different. It's very important for you to know if you're talking about the population or the sample. Now let's do the same thing for the variance. Here again, we're going to focus on the ones that have a period, period P, or period S. Because my first formula, I'm looking for population variance. I'm going to press OK for the P. That stands for population. I'm going to highlight my data. And then do the same thing for the sample. Okay, so that is about it for population, standard deviation and variance, sample standard deviation and variance. Very, very direct. Now, what about the range? This one we skipped a minute ago. Let's go back to it. Remember that the range is the difference between the largest data value in our data set. So out of these numbers, the largest number minus the smallest number. This is the range. Now, how do we find this? We can equals, I'm going to type in the formula directly here, directly. So that to save time and to see that we can actually type these formulas in directly once we know what the formulas are that we're using, the functions are that we're using. So remember to type first the equal sign, and then I type max. Max tells me the largest data, largest data value in a data set. max, open parentheses, highlight my data set, and then close parentheses. That will give me the biggest number in my data set. Then I take minus, min. I want to find the smallest value of my data set. I highlight again the numbers, close parentheses, and this gives me my range. This gives me the biggest value in my data set minus the smallest value in my data set. If you have any questions about these formulas, again, you can look at if you click on the cell that with the formula that we were trying to find, and you look up at the function box, you'll see what the formula is. Notice, excuse me, notice that each formula has a equal sign before it, an equal sign before it. So if you were going to type the formulas in directly, you can just type it equals whatever your function you're going to use, and then open parentheses. Don't forget your parentheses, highlight your data set, and don't forget to close the parentheses. Okay, so this was example 1 from page 50, number 12 in chapter 2. Example 1 from page 50, number 12 in chapter 2. Now let's go back. Let's go and do another problem that's similar to this. And this one is not an example that's in your book. This is not an example that's in your book. Now, this next example is about pulse rate. Again, this is not in your book. It's only here on the PPT. The data represent the pulse rate of 10 randomly selected females after stepping up and down on a 6-inch platform for 3 minutes. So each of the females, their pulse was checked, and you're asked to compute the mean, the median, the range, variance, and standard deviation. Notice that this is all for the sample. This is all for a sample. So we're going to go through and do this together using the formulas, functions that we have just talked about. So example 2 is listed here. Now, because the problem asks only for the sample, I'm going to only focus on the sample values here. I'm going to only focus on sample values here. Now here are the 10 values. I've just written them there, and I've included the header of the column. This is not important. Now I want to find the average for the data set. Remember that I can just type it in directly. Now that I know what the formula is, I click on the cell where I want my answer to be. I type equals, and then average, the word average, open parentheses, highlight my data, close parentheses, enter. My average is then 126.8. If I want to find the median of the data set, I type in equals, the equal sign, median, open parentheses. For the range, equal sign again. I have my max value, because the range is the biggest minus the smallest, minus my minimum value. Enter. Standard deviation. Again, remember this is standard deviation for the sample. So I have a period S at the end of my formula. STDEV stands for standard deviation. The dot S stands for the sample. I open parentheses, highlight my data, close parentheses, and then again for the variance. Now remember, I am running Excel 2013, but any Excel version that you're running, 2007, 2010, the formulas may be a little bit different, but you can always go to the function, insert function box, and search for the function that you want to use by typing in a description of what you want to do. And then just to verify that you're using the right formula, you can read the description underneath that corresponds to the function. Okay, that was pretty straightforward. If you have any questions about how to use the functions or formulas, please don't hesitate to contact us at the Math Center and we can help you. Now we're going to go back to talking about a different way to look at to solve statistical formulas. But before we do that, if you want a list, maybe you're not so comfortable using the the function box in the Excel. If you're not comfortable using it, you can go to the following links, the links that are posted on the PPT. And these links will give you a list of all the statistical functions that are available in Microsoft Excel. Every single statistical function, even things that you do not need to know for this class, that are beyond the scope of this class, are listed here. So if you need something that's in writing for you to refer to, please click on these links. Now, the next thing that we're going to talk about is running something called the Analysis Tool Pack. The Analysis Tool Pack. Now, the Analysis Tool Pack is something that is also available within Excel, but it might take a little bit of work to get it up and running. Now, what is good about the Analysis Tool Pack is that the Analysis Tool Pack does not force you to type in one formula at a time when you're trying to do an analysis. You can do an entire analysis just by one click of a button. You can get the mean, the median, the mode, the range, the variance, standard deviation just by one click of a button. You can use the analysis tool pack to perform regression analysis, correlation analysis, to draw a histogram, to generate random numbers, to get descriptive statistics, and the list goes on and on. It's very, very useful. So we're going to talk a little bit today about how to get it up and running. Now, for my version of Excel that I'm running, again, it's Excel 2013. The list of how to get Excel's data analysis tool pack installed on your computer are found here. You would have to go to the File tab, Options, Add-ins. Then you're going to have to set the Manage tab to Excel add-ins. On the Tools menu, you'll click Add-ins, and then you'll select the Analysis tool pack. Let's see what we're talking about. We're going to go to Excel. Okay, now in Excel, again, this is 2013 Excel. There are many different tabs at the top of Excel. There's File, Home, Insert, and so on. Now, if you click on the Data tab and you go over to the right, you should have an analysis section and a section that's called Data Analysis Tools. This is what I'm talking about, the Data Analysis Tool Pack. Now, what if you do not have this Data Analysis Tool Pack, which is more than likely that you don't have it? What you're going to do is you're going to go to File section. You'll go down to Options. And then on the left-hand side, you'll go down here where it says Add-ins. Where it says Manage Excel Add-ins, you'll make sure this says Manage Excel Add-ins and you'll press Go. Now, I've already installed it, so mine is checked. But if you don't have it installed, you'll see that it has two options for the Analysis Tool Pack. You can check either. I'll check the first one, but you can check either to run it. And then when you go back to the data tab and you look on the right, you'll see that it says data analysis here. And this is what we want. Now, remember the first example that we used the functions to find the mean, median, range, standard deviation, and variance. Now we're going to do the same problem 12 on page 50, but instead of using the individual functions, we're going to use the data analysis. Now, how do we do this? We're going to click on the data analysis. We're going to click on the data analysis button, and we're going to, in the analysis toolbox, click on the tool that we want to use. We're going to click on the tool that we want to use. So let's go back to the Excel spreadsheet. Now here again are the costs of taking pets on an airline for 14 different major US airlines. Now I'm going to go to the data analysis box. I'm going to click on data analysis. And here they have many different tools. Now, how do I know which one I want to use? If you want to find the mean, median, and mode, things like this, the range, the variance, standard deviation, these are all defined under descriptive statistics of a data set. Descriptive statistics. So I'm going to click on descriptive statistics. I will press OK. Then here it tells me where is my input, where's the number, the data that I want to analyze. Now I'm going to highlight everything, including the header cost. I'm going to highlight everything, including the header cost. I'm going to click on labels in the first row because it tells me that this means that the first row cost is not really a data value. It's just something to identify the data here. Output range says where do I want to see my answers when I'm finished. Now I want my output to end up right here, just in this empty cell, C3. And then I'm going to click on summary statistics. That means the mean, median, mode, and so on. Click OK. And voila, I have the mean, the median, the mode, standard deviation, variance, the range, the minimum, the maximum, all of the numbers added together, and the count, how many data values do we have. Now there's one caveat that I would like to emphasize here. One caveat. This information is for a sample. Let's look back at example 1 that we solved using the function. When we were finding the standard deviation and the variance, I remember I emphasized that there are 2 different formulas for population than there is for sample. Different formulas for population as there are for sample. If I wanted to find then, for some reason, the population standard deviation and population variance, now the data analysis will not give me that directly. I will have to use a function to calculate the population standard deviation and population variance. But if I want to calculate for the sample, then this is the way to go. I don't have to do many things. I don't have to type in many formulas, many functions. I just have to click and click. Now let's go back to example 2, and we'll do this over again. Remember example 2 about pulse rate. Now we have the pulse rate of the 10 girls that were climbing on the platform. Now I want to find the descriptive statistics for these girls. So I'm going to go to data analysis again. And I'm going to click on descriptive statistics and press OK. My data set, it remembered what I said before, but this data set is not as big as the last one. I want my labels in the first row. and the output range should be in C3. So I press OK, and here's my information. The same values that we should have come up with by the functions are the values that we have here. Now, if you looked at the analysis toolbox, you'll see that besides descriptive statistics, there are many other things that you can use this for, including doing correlation analysis. Now, if you have any questions about how to run some other analysis on using the Toolpak, we will have other webinars that will discuss this. But in the meantime, there are some videos on YouTube that you can also watch that detail how to use the analysis Toolpak to perform statistical analysis, in particular correlation analysis. Now, let's review what we've talked about today. Remember, we talked about the different analysis options that are available within Excel, including the functions and formulas and the analysis Toolpak. We talked also about how anyone who is running Mac and is not running Windows simultaneously can still get the same functionality using a software program called Stat Plus. We've talked about how to use different formulas in Excel to run the statistical analysis, especially in reference to performing some descriptive analysis. We did a few problems together. There are some Excel and some links in this PPT for copies or that you can print out of all the statistical formulas, but note that they are subject to change with each version of Excel that is out. So the best thing is to use that function toolbox. We talked about the analysis Toolpak and how the different things that the analysis Toolpak can do for you. We talked about how to install it if you don't have it installed and how to use the analysis Toolpak. There are additional resources that are available not only in this PPT, but also in the Student Learning Center, in particular the Math Center, if you have any questions with regards to how to use technology with your statistics. Okay, that's it for this evening. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. I appreciate your attendance. Thank you.